Good evening, how's everybody doing? I am going to be doing a different video to the play and explain video and the usual jazz that I like to do. I thought, I haven't uploaded for a while. I haven't played too much. I've been recovering from an illness. I'm going to do some drilling, and this is kind of how I practice in some spots. Like, generally what I will do is I will look at my stats, and then I'll look at spots where I think I might be leaking, and I'll figure out strategies and ways that I can improve them. So one example will be defense spots. So if I play one of the spots that I feel like lately I've struggled a little bit is facing large cbets in 3-bet pots as the imposition proof up corner. So I'm going to drill them, and yeah, so using GTOw Wizard, I've set up a custom drill. I'm going for this like solution. Like, just the reason I'm picking this solution NL50 is so I can tighten the ranges up a little bit to reflect more my pool. 100 BB and a smaller size, and I mean I could use the bigger size in too. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick the smaller size, and it seems to be slightly more common. But yeah, bigger size, and it's definitely something you have to deal with. And yeah, I'm going to do 3 sims where I'm early position, so hijack, cut off, and button versus small blind. I can mix it up and make it big blind too, but like the solve will play like a more different strategy, small blind to big blind. Some people will play the same strategy, small blind and big blind, so I'm typically just going to play small blind. Actually, that's definitely not true. Some people play the same strategy, small blind v big blind. What I mean is I would generally play the same strategy in position for small blind and big blind, even though theoretically you're not really supposed to, because they're supposed to use different ranges and sizes. So I'm just going to stick to small blind to keep it simple. Also, big blind is kind of different because people tend to under 3-bet from the big blinds a lot more than they do small blind versus any position. So small blind is going to be a little bit more accurate. Yeah, the other thing I'm going to touch on is heuristics. When you're doing defense, a lot of people will just drill and try and like memorize stuff. What I do is, like, after doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drills, I tend to build heuristics of like common patterns that happen. Obviously, on different board textures, you have different, hands that continue. But yeah, I generally write general rules. 5+ out pair is a category of hand that has like a pair to the board. So like on 10, 9, 3, 9, 8 is a 5+ out pair, but like pocket 6s would be just a pocket pair. So like this is a general heuristic I've got: 5+ out pairs, gutters plus, generally continuing. I imagine there could also be like a certain category of gutters plus, like bad gutters wouldn't continue, but I haven't written that down. So what I do is I like test my heuristics. I don't actually play my strategy based on how I think it should be. I test my defense against my heuristics, how they're written. And then if I see something that's different, I'll make notes or like changes. This allows me, if I memorize my heuristics and spot, it allows me to accurately defend more so. The one thing about the big size, this is generally quite an underbluffed size on average. But like usually when you reach the river, it's underbluffed. On the flop, it can still be like, people can still play like balanced flop strategies or even overbluff potentially for a big size. But what tends to happen is, like, when you reach the river, people bluff less after going big on the flop because it changes like how post flop is supposed to be played. So it's something to bear in mind. When you face the bigger size, you generally have to obviously call less and less hands that realize equity better. Yeah, we've got these notes: gutters, second pair with pocket pairs. It's kind of self-explanatory. So, well, not really. Like, say you have a board like Jack 7, 3, and you've got like a pocket 9s with a backdoor flush. That's a sort of second pair hand. in on the bluffed zones and formation. So the earlier the formation, the less people tend to bluff. We're going to be playing a strategy to fold hands that are indifferent on the flop, so that mixed flop, we're just going to fold them, especially on tighter formations. And on really underbluffed boards, we're going to be really, really careful what we continue. Top pair plus, I'd say nut draw, or pair plus draw basically. The best gutters only. So like only really, really like good draws. And there's some notes here about specific textures. Without further ado, let's get on with it. We're going to do 10 hands in hijack. And we're going to do 15 in cutoff, 20 in button. So yeah, here, queens, this is a hand I would definitely defend in this formation. So like, on this kind of board, I haven't put in a specific raising strategy here. I imagine you can have a raising strategy if you want to. So like in this spot, I feel like this hand would like mix raise and call. And it just depends really on like, if you think your hand can get value from worse, if you think that, you know, he's going to slow down with some run outs, you might not get, you know, in terms of bluffing, you know, plus, you know, there's things like ace king and stuff like that. So I don't mind mixing this. I could use the randomizer. I could just pure call, depends on the villain. I'm just going to like mix call. I guess it's indifferent here between call and raise. But yeah, you could do both. I guess the solver's going to play differently to the pool. I have a note here, these kind of dry boards, ace king has cleaner outs, so it's a pure call generally. Now I'm not sure if that applies to flush draw, because like say you have, if this is a rainbow board we call, because an ace and a king, obviously it blocks the top of his range, and versus when you're behind, except for specifically against aces, your hand always has outs or equity. So like ace king having 6 outs is actually better than gut shots in a lot of spots. So ace king would generally pure call on a lot of boards, but because it's early position and it's a flush draw board, we don't have a backdoor flush draw, I'm actually going to fold because I think this hand is going to be indifferent. If it's a pure call, then I'm probably making a mistake. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, my strategy is to fold the indifferent hands. So this is like, obviously it's a paired board, but like early position, we know backdoor flush draw. Ace jack isn't as good as ace king. Less outs, easy fold. Some weird hands here showing up. This is a gut shot. Probably a hand I wouldn't actually defend. It's like mixing a defense, I'm guessing. I'm just gonna like make this better, so I don't have to keep clicking back between here and here. Excuse me, but it's a gull over backdoor flush, so we condor heuristics we're calling. And then now we have draw. I actually don't have a raising strategy here, but I actually don't mind bluff raising in the spot. It's not something I've actually really added and thought about, because like if you're just going to jam here, you're just going to jam like value hands, bluffs. I imagine this is a good bluffing candidate regardless, but you could also go cool fold. But like, I mean, if he just have bluffs here, it's like queen jacks and ace of diamonds stuff, so I'm probably happy to just call this hand. Okay, the solver's probably going to pure rip the river, and then solver does this like 10% like put you in the bin kind of stuff that makes you hate your life. Should I punt jam here? Rep king queen. Cool, fold, probably just fold. But yeah, very interesting. So it's just pure rip. I don't mind the calling strategy, it makes sense in this instance. Here, 7-7-3, 7-3-3. So like this is, according to our heuristics, this is like a top pair type hand, but it's a paired board, so like top pairs are actually really devalued on this board. So you just kind of want to have value domination. It doesn't really 3-bet 7x here. I'll be honest, I think this is indifferent, this hands. So I'm actually going to fold it from early position. It's apparently a very small mistake to fold. I don't actually mind folding it though. I guess the board is just too dry to ever fold a pair like 8. Flush draw is easy cool. Checking like king is kind of like indicative in reality, in like how the pool would play. So like people trapping or like just having like tens and stuff, jacks, things like that. So I imagine like the solver might mix this a lot. I think the problem with betting is there's not a huge amount of like better hands that would fold for a small sizing. So like you have to generally be prepared to like bluff it off, which I would not mind. I don't mind bluffing it off, so I'll just go 1/3 and jam. Oh, you actually make ace queen fold. That's nice. Yeah, the solver's checking because he's afraid to check jam, and as this hand is showdown value, and probably doesn't bluff the river. But I would probably just like still bet and jam anyway, because he could just like make things like tens fold. This is just a fold. It's like nothing even close to continue. There's obviously a continue top pair. The old overcard. Facing turn pets. We're generally looking about, when we have a hand in this bluff catching category, we're generally looking at how likely it is they're going to be bluffing. Generally, so like the pool's going to be like pretty aggro, like ace jacks and ace queens in these spots. Like if he has every combo of ace queen of hearts, every heart combo probably bets the turn, and then some of them, maybe even all of them, might give up the river. So that's going to be good for your EV. And then there's obviously things like ace queen hearts, ace jack hearts, ace 5 hearts, stuff like that, which are probably going to do the same thing. So those are some good things about this point. The bad things are, obviously this improves his range. Ace, king, and queens, kings, aces is still obviously very strong. And also we can't massively improve. Like if we hit a jack, we're not beating king x, so we're not improving on the paired board. And on average, the pool is under bluffing here. So like with all these factors, I am going to hit the fold button on the turn. It's 8 hands. So this is like the low dry board with the backdoor flush. I know we're talking about like how good ace high could continue, but we don't have anything with like good king high with backdoor flush, so I'm just going to fold. Especially on the flush draw board, I'd rather have a spade or like even just ace queen of hearts in this hand. And obviously the nuts is continuing on this. Now a lot of people would check here, but I still think you can get value in this spot by betting, because he does have like one spade combos quite a lot. Obviously trapping, so there's nothing else to do here. I'm all in dealer. Wow, the solver is an absolute station. I mean, there was very few behind, so cool. This hand's actually a good one to end on because it's like similar to the king queen hand. It's obviously a paired board, but it's a flush draw board. And we have a gut shot, so like in this early position, so I would just fold this hand. Let's configure the session and let's make it cut off. So the mistakes I've made is like on these the low paired 7-3-3 board, 8 was still like, it was slightly indifferent. was making a tiny bit of EV, and I was like overfolding it on the flop. I think that's actually okay versus some players, but I think maybe versus sort of like a random unknown or like a reg you play over a lot, you probably would still want to call that hand versus the big. Like I lean towards the overfolding on the flop node. I'm overfolding in different hands, especially hands that struggle to realize equity. Okay, that's a general strategy. So yeah, we move on. So we're going to move to 75% size in on cutoff, do 15 hands here. Excuse me. So now that we're cut off, we're in less of an underbluffed area. Still facing the big size, but like 5+ out pairs and colors. I just don't think we're going to fold a hand like ace-5 with the overcard, even though it's a flush draw board. We still have the overcard, so it's still going to be cool. It's actually indifferent, so it's the same thing. It's the same thing, really. I like to fold the indifferent hands on the flop, so I'm gonna make even like a hand like ace-5, which is mixing the flop. I think I should be folding, and then we face this big turn bet, like the big size, big turn. Is he really bluffing? I mean, our ace is still good out against. I think this is like a mixed hand in theory against the pool. The pool typically doesn't play this sort of style with like their draws, do they? Because I think like jamming is an option, calling is an option, folding is an option. I would generally just fold, but yeah, okay, it's actually pure just jam in theory. I mean, it makes sense. Even versus kings, you have some equity. Like if depending on like his bluffs, I guess we'll just have a little look. This spot actually works in theory, because like try and guess like how different it is to reality. I mean, it's like a flop strategy. So your solver actually does use big strategy a lot on these boards. Oh, by the way, we made the board texture be queen high at max because we want to avoid king high ace high boards. There is a heuristic on king high ace high boards where like you're even folding, you're only really calling top pair and pair plus draw because every other hand is indifferent. And best gut plus only, so like you're only calling like flush draws and like maybe your best gut shot, and then that's it. Yeah, like that's a heuristic that if you face this big bet on like ace high king high boards or the 2 Broadway boards, that's a heuristic you'd have to face quite a lot. Whereas I'm mainly using queen high or lower boards because it's more common you would face this bigger 75% size on those boards. Just explain that. Yeah, 75% is a lot. Ace-5 actually mix and raise, so it wasn't indifferent, it was mix and raise, so it wasn't a mistake for me to call. I kind of felt like it wasn't a mistake. It's just jamming the flop, which is very interesting. It might actually be good strategy. I don't know. I haven't explored this node very deeply, which is what I'm doing right now, exploring the node. And then he goes this bigger size. A lot of the pool would play 50% here in these spots. Like 75-75 is actually kind of a good way to play your value hands because you force and like some of your bluffs, even like bluffs like ace jack spades, because like if you have to bet call ace jack spades. So like this forces a hand like ace-5 to jam a lot, and like you see 8x and stuff. And a lot of these hands are just jamming to I don't know, just to get the value from like the draws and stuff. That would have to like bet call. So like the 75% size is actually from a technique perspective is quite good. Obviously, solver's like also folding like at least 22% of the time, so you win some EV that way. The problem is the pool tends to like use this size; they never tend to bet fold, or at least not 22%, maybe like 10% of the time. So imagine you have king jack of clubs and you just put this in, and like they're not really like if they have ace jack offsuit, I don't think they would use the size, and in fact they might even just check, or like they would like use our different flop sizes. So from jamming a turn, I mean, if they do this with flush draws as well, then I think you probably still generate EV. Like it's making quite a lot of EV jamming a turn. But yeah, it's obviously different. So this is actually quite interesting. Interesting board here, because it is a 5+ out pair. It's actually a kind of a more dynamic board, so I haven't really been able to test the heuristics on this kind of texture. I think this might actually be close, but I'm going to follow what I've written down as the heuristics. Cool. It's mixing. I mean, it's just jam for value at this point. And I use overpair. Flop, yeah, it's indifference, so it says it's a minus 30 BB per 100 core too, which is interesting, because like when I was looking at this like connected board, and like no backdoor flush or straight, I was thinking like jack nines and stuff are gonna want to call. So this is actually a good note to add to textures. I say dynamic. I say unconnected, because like this is kind of a rule of thumb, like on mono boards too. Because like if we were like early position and it was like queen 9-8 flush draw, mono, sorry, so it was queen 9-8 of spades and we had kings, no spade, I would actually pure fold that hand. But like, this is kind of a rule of thumb on like connected dynamic boards. I need to have like let's say backdoor flushes. I'm actually going to test this. I'm going to see if ace 9 of hearts calls, because I want to test this theory to be correct. Yeah, this is obviously a mistake. Here we have a gut shot, so we're just going to continue. And the fold. Very easy hand. Jabbing the turn. Ace 9 hearts. Yeah, so the ace 9 hearts calls, these hands are in diff. So yeah, so the theory does at least pass on that regard. Actually, let's look at like even king 10 is indifferent. So like we wouldn't like call top pair pure on this board either. It's like king 10 is indifferent. It's just a 10x with flush draw. So like this kind of, I think this heuristic is going to serve me quite well in similar spots. Excuse me. Yeah, so this is like these low boards. Like we're looking at like the strong ace high type stuff that has like the clean outs. So it's like, to me, this is a pure fold versus big. Ace queen. Yeah, this is a 2 overs with the backdoor flush. So like the aces have a very clean out, in my opinion. Maybe it has the playability. The queen, I don't think, not really sure about the queen. The good thing is the queen at least blocks some value hands, although possibly also blocks some bluffs. But like I feel like we would still call this like, it's not a direct draw to the nuts, but I think it just has enough playability to continue and be a pure call. And then yeah, we can muck this. Wow, sevens. Solver is a psycho. Sevens probably folds like 10s and 8s. And gets value from like 5x hearts and stuff. I don't know. The solver's a psychopath. Yes, this is the connected dynamic board with no gut shot, a bad backdoor flush. So the ace could still, I mean, again, these pairs could still have value, but because it's so dynamic, like an 8 is going to make 10 the nuts. So I guess rather have a 10. Wow, I mean, it's still indifferent, but it's like this hand's still continuing a lot. which tells me the ace of spades is just going to be pure continue on this board. We have flush draw, continue, jams a turn, we just got to fold. It's a real sweaty line. Because these low paired boards, we had the ace 5, so this is like, we have the overcard with the back door straight. But like, unlike, I feel like this hand is like indifferent. Like if we have the 2 overs, I think it's better. Like we have the pair outs, stronger pair outs, whereas we do have the back door straight and flush draw, wheel draw. And then we still have the ace. The ace is like also reverse implied odds. So I feel like this hand's maybe indifferent, or just a fold. So if I fold, in fact it's just a pure fold. 8-7 is a gut shot. And flush draw board. It's saying we just call gutters plus, so you know, I'm gonna call. It could be indifferent. No, it's pure call, which is good. We'll trust in the heuristics. And then I imagine here you just like either check or bet small, so I'm just going to go for 20%. It's just a value jam, I think, in the spot. Like Jack X is in a tough spot. Didn't go for check raise. 9s on the wheel board with the backdoor flush draw. Think about his weakest pairs here, and do we dominate them? Does he do this with ace 5? Does he have 8s? So this has to be a continue. I wonder if we'd ever raise this hand. But definitely continuing. God. I'd say this spot is like insanely underbluffed in reality. I don't think people even play their flush draws like this in this way, even though I think this is a good way to like pocket commit yourself with flush draws. Because I know you're forcing a hand like 9s to have like a really tough spot. I would just fold here, but I could see it being just like a pure jam. And it's actually indifferent. Like full reality. Okay, this is one of a few 2 Broadway boards we're going to get, but we're always continuing top pair. And then I think the thing I like about these spots is I think the pool is very inelastic here. So I actually would bet this size exploitatively. Where solver probably goes this size. And I actually think, like, and he can definitely have like, I think ace queen just pure bets. He will have king queen, but I think like a lot of his range. I mean, unless he's a player who's like really good and traps 10x. Although I think most will just bets a 10 here. 10s, pocket 10s, sorry, not traps 10x. So I think most pool would just bet 10s, but I think in theory you're supposed to trap 10s sometimes. Most of pool would trap queens and king queen. They also maybe have queen jacks and stuff. They could have queen 10 suited, but like for me, I'd exploitatively just bet this size because I think we're going to get overcalled here on the turn, and then maybe even on the river if you have a tough image. So like obviously the solvers hates this, but I think it's actually higher EV to do this. Yeah, there's a pair plus gutter on the rainbow board. So always continuing. And I don't think we'd ever fold this. I'm just debating whether we would do it call. We'd commit to calling down, or if we would just jam the turn. Like, yeah. I don't think the 7 of hearts is realistically in small blinds range, and maybe tiny percent of frequencies. So I don't think it's too relevant a blocker. So like certainly like king queen with hearts, ace queen hearts, probably just jamming here. But like for half pot, maybe we can call down. I'm just gonna call down actually instead of jam. I mean I'm not gonna fold at this point. I've called down. It's actually indifferent on the river. Oh, it's just quads. I kind of pot committed at that point. Yeah, I mean 5+ out pair on a 10 10 high board, it's dry. Excuse me. It's obviously a continue. A similar board, like so we had the pair turn. I think we're just 20% here. Although, yeah, I think the solver is either going to go 30% or check this hand pure because it's not a hand that really enjoys check raise. Check this one down. Yeah, okay. I think that line, though, actually works quite nicely. I think his range is probably a little bit. I mean, it's probably similar range on the turn. I think that line still works quite nicely. In reality, oh, obviously this is a cool. It's like overpair, mixing some raisin. 20%. Look at that. 5+ out pair. Sorry, top pair. Go by the heuristics. Easy, cool. Check, and then I guess this is just one of those spots where I typically just play 20%. I imagine this hand is like mixing because that shit's gonna happen to you. If I saw this by the pool, I'd probably just call because I think there's like too many bluffs. I think jam is more indicative of a flush draw, but the solver is going to be way more balanced with its sizes, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is like indifferent. Oh no, it's pure call actually. And we can put them in my queens. But I don't think people would have queens as much as solver might have it. This hand is nothing, and that's the last hand. Let's go to button. The small size, the big flop. Yeah, we combo draw here. I think we're just gonna call everything. Very nice. I guess 20%. I guess the solver's sizing up, or maybe even check it. I'm all-in dealer. I mean, the hand basically plays itself. Yeah, the solver just sizes up, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to this. Maybe you might make more EV sizing up, to be honest. Yeah, so this is like a low board with no. This doesn't hit the heuristics. It's not a second pocket pair with backdoor flush. Just folds. So like we are in the button versus small blind though, so we are in the possibly like one of the wider formations in terms of ranges in this spot. It is the widest that we can get. It's like we are actually going to be able to actually sometimes get into nodes which are overbluffed. And also it does change, so it changes how we defend the flop. So maybe, so for example, 8s without a spade here, definitely a folding card on hijack. Pure, probably. Maybe it starts to be indifferent in button. I still think because it's indifferent, I'm going to fold this because it doesn't have a backdoor flush draw and it's Jack 6-6 flush draw. But yeah, this is where you start to see like hands like this become indifferent. Queen Jack. So like now we have. So this is like the low 10-2 high dry board. So like with good ace highs are like continuing. Now this is always going to continue versus half pot. I think Queen Jack is very good backdoors and stuff. And yeah, it does have like overs, but like we're fading the bigger sizing. His range is now wider though, so like there is like more domination you can have. Like there's Queen 10s now, and there's like Jack 10s, and there's I'd say Jack 9s, but you know what I mean. So like so there is more domination you can have. So these hands I think start to become indifferent in these spots, but like my rule of thumb is to fold in different hands. It does make me like maybe overfold by like 5%, but it's generally gonna make. I think it's like generally the best way to play versus the pool. But like if I've sat there with like ace queen and spades, I still have to call. Obviously, this is nothing. So this is a dry hand with 5+ out pair. That's obviously a pure call. We actually have a pair plus a draw, but it's not a draw to the nuts. So like, it's also an underbluffed board, like heavily underbluffed board. So I'd rather fold this. I feel like this hand is indifferent, or maybe even mixes and bluffs, but yeah, so it's pure calling or like bluffing. I guess the 1/3 sizing. I guess because it just has a draw, we just can't fold regardless of how underbluffed it is. It still generates EV, so that's kind of a mistake. Unlike the turn defense heuristic. But yeah, we'll just go to the next hand. Oh look, he had the nuts though. On these paired rainbow boards, I feel like we just can't fold the pocket pair. Although I do think like things like ace queen, I feel like 2 overcards are going to be like very strong here too. But I just don't think we fold a pocket pair, even though this is the bigger size. Although the heuristic is telling me second pair pocket pair is cool with backdoor flush. So like, for my money, this is kind of like a spot where it doesn't quite fit the heuristics, but one of our stronger pocket pairs. So I'm going to call. But if it's indifferent, then I'm making a mistake. Okay, it's a pure call. Yeah, we just like... Yeah, I mean, I'm just folding the turn. It's in a different spot on the turn. But like I've talked about, like in different spots, I generally lean towards folding unless they're clearly overbluffed. Nothing fold. Obviously with combo draw, cool. Check. Is this hand actually just going to check to realize, or is it just going to like only bet to like make him fold better? I think he'd still bet here because like you just make like ace kings and stuff fold. So like, just a lot of EV is generated by folding him out of better hands. Even though it's a hand that I would hate to be check jammed on. So with the 2 overcards, backdoor flush. Like so now, because we're in wider formation, like the queen actually becomes a clean out to his value hands, because like Jack X could bet here. So like now I think we just start calling these hands pure. And I am out of here. I know some people could argue, like sometimes bluff catching ace highs and spots like this, but not me, I'm fucking gone. And yeah, it's a pure fold. 5+ out board, easy continue. Check. I imagine, like, theoretically, you pure fold, but I just think you could potentially get some value here. But, like, people, like, I think this is just a hand just, like, doesn't want to bet cool. But, like, so, like, a check-in would probably be the highest EV strategy, but, like, if people are really passive, you could do this. Like, they might only just check call, like an ace king high with a spade or something. So like, I think you can go either way. For me, it would depend on the villain. I'm just gonna check, I guess. Wow. It's very tempting to like hit with the hero in reality here. I think this is like value range is indicative of like boats and strong flushes. Blocking 10s is actually pretty nice in the spot. 6s is a hand that would make a lot of sense, like trap flushes. And like bluffs being like those sort of ace, king, queen type spades type hands. The pool would probably turn into a bluff more. Or like maybe 6x, I don't know. Let's think about this spot. On the button, we face a big flop size, this line. Yeah, I'd probably just like let this hand go. Based on this specific line. But like, it's really villain dependent. Some villains are just like bluffing 2/3 here on the river and jamming their value. Some are just like jamming their value. or like, some are just like actually playing ace king and ace queen with ace of spades to check raise the turn. Or like they're trapping like tens and then they're just like and then it's like jamming, so like having a 10 would just seem like a pure punt to fold, so I'm just gonna fold because I think it's indifferent. And yeah, because we're in diff, like a 0 EV, I like to fold. Never gonna continue that hand. Obvious reasons, just dynamic board, once the king queen. Top pairs always continuing. Actually doing some raising. I'm gonna do this 20%. Well, we've been told. He's been saying, hey, I have the goods, and this would probably put like me in a tough spot with like a lot of hands. I think king queen is just like vulnerable enough to just jam. Like if you have nines, no, you're just like pure trap, I guess. Okay, it's just mixing between call and trap, I'm guessing. Ace king, eh? With diamond. Pure calling with the nuts. No longer the nuts, but I think a board where we would still want to bet anyway. It's like too dynamic, obviously snapping this one off. Ace is no good, so this is like 2 overs, no backdoor. It is like this low, dryish board, like no backdoors. Two weak overs. This should be just an easy fold. Yeah, this is actually more interesting now. We're in the button versus small blinds. Like we have this low paired board, no flush draw. According to the heuristics, I think so. Like we were folding ace king in the cutoff on these kind of boards without the without the flush draw. So like, I feel like this is a spot where we would defend ace king, ace queens without the flush draw. Because they're like very clean outs, but like ace jack without the back door, it becomes less of a clean out, I think. So I just let this one go. I think it's maybe indifferent or a pure fold. And yeah, it's indifferent. Yeah, I mean, fold. What else are we doing? Yeah, so this is like this paired flush draw board, and we have like, we don't have a gush, we just have a backdoor flush draw, a straight draw. So I'm just gonna fold without like direct equity, or like even like, you know, something like ace jack of hearts or ace 10 of hearts or something. That's like what I think the threshold is in this spot. Let's wait for this to load. Yeah, like it was actually ace. Yeah, ace jack of diamonds. Indifferent. Yeah, so my threshold's correct. Ace 10 is indifferent, but I probably would go ace 10 in the spot, but fine. So these are one of these spots where I'm actually going to fold this hand, because although the quantity heuristics 5+ out pairs are always calling, but like my 5+ out pair is less valued in this flush draw, so I feel like jack 10 could be indifferent here. It might actually just be a pure call. I'm going to pure call it actually. If it's like ace 10 board, I would fold. It's indifferent. Well, I know what to do here. I guess I could turn my hand into a bluff. I am all of the ins dealer. Okay, flop. It is indifferent on the flop. So like this is like this heuristic I was talking about earlier about only called in like top pair or like second pairs with the right hands on these two Broadway boards against the big sizes. But you know, we managed to like funnel into a line and a run out where we generated EV, so that was nice. Sevens with draw, but bad gut shot, bad straight draw, and Jack 10-9. I mean, if you hit your straight here, you have so much reverse implied odds, and 7 is not a strong enough draw to justify a continue, so I think this is like a fault. There's no solution to the spot. Let's repeat the hand. I actually just want to look at the solve. I mean, this has no solution because I don't think the solver is like ever using this sizer. But like, it's just more practice about if you were to face someone that would for some reason use this size, how would the solver generate a defense? And this is how the solver would generate a defense. So yeah, my thoughts were correct. Okay, so that's the end of the session. I like you guys enjoyed drilling and how you would play these spots differently. My strategy is very like overfoldy versus the big size, which is probably going to be bad if I put against for people who I watch my videos. They'll probably might like start to use the big size more on the flop, which might make in different hands like actually become like a bit more punishable. They might generate some more EV with a big size, but like they still have to navigate turn and river, so I'm not too worried about that. I also, if there's very specific people that I know watch my videos, and they size up the flop, I might just defend in different hands against them and see what happens. So yeah, I am basically displaying like a weakness I would have if people sized up. I might have a slight flop weakness, but like I think most of the people size up. I think tight is right against that, against like most regs, but against fish, you know, you should be prepared to hit the call button a little bit more against fish. Anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Hope everyone has a good one and enjoy your Friday sessions.